if I had to guess, we will probably have a finished product within the next couple of months. Man, it's been a minute since we've updated on Kestis. We've had about 5 weeks of our animated audio series, Star Wars Spectre of the Spider's Web. I really wanted to keep the weekly post thing going. Spider's Web will continue next week, and I think there's going to be like 5 more episodes. I hope you've enjoyed listening to Spectre of the Spider's Web. We kind of took a break from that this week to discuss Kestis updates. It's been a minute since we've updated you guys on Kestis, and I wanted to take the time to do that. I'm sure you are all wondering when this movie is going to finally come out. I understand your pain. I'm right there with you. What's taking so long? What's the holdup? Since we finished shooting in April, I believe, we have been non-stop working on the edit of this Star Wars film. Specifically with a story like Star Wars, there's a lot of moving parts compared to other types of stories. I'm sure you can imagine the work and effort that goes into scoring a Star Wars project or developing the visual effects for a Star Wars project. And at least in the case of The Foretelling, it was such a condensed story that editing it didn't take very long. I did the rough cut of The Foretelling like a couple of weeks after we finished shooting, and then the lightsaber effects took me about like a couple of months, or 2 VFX artists. It took them about a month to do the spaceship shot, so I mean it went by pretty quickly. For Kestis, we really tripled the scale of what we did in The Foretelling. I mean, it's just about 3 times the duration. It's got 3 times the number of characters. It's got a plot and a subplot, tons of costumes, and it's forced me to delegate responsibilities, which was a really fun and unique opportunity because I'm so used to doing everything myself. We've got a ton of super talented people. We ended up acquiring a lot more crew members during our stint in post-production, one of those people being a colorist. If you don't know what a colorist is, essentially every film has that kind of look. The colors are super deep and vibrant, and it looks like a film, you know what I'm saying? You can kind of tell the difference between a home video and a movie. And a lot of that has to do with the colorist. We had a colorist reach out to us on YouTube expressing an interest to help us out, and so we hired him on, and so he's going to be dressing up our film and making it look cool and professional. As for the visual effects, we started off pretty strong, but I think a lot of us just sort of realized there's a lot of work that's got to be put into this, and it made me uncomfortable and made me feel bad, frankly, that we had that much work for the number of workers we had. So we hired on an additional VFX artist. I'm going to butcher his last name, but Victor Stasiuk. You can find him on YouTube at Ziktop, that's Ziktop. We've also got Andrew SO5. You've probably seen his work, and he's been a real trooper working on this project with us, as well as Ethan Mauser and Lorenzo. Those 4 guys have really just gone above and beyond the standard, and they're doing some incredible things for you guys and for this movie. And so that's really where a lot of the time has gone, is just making sure those factors are looking good and it's going to hold up, because we really just didn't want to cut corners, but we also just don't want to burn out our crew. Also, our soundtrack is currently underway. We just started really getting into the nitty-gritty of developing the soundtrack and the sound of Kestis. We've got Jordan and his son Cal Richmond. You can find them on YouTube, Cal Richmond, and I believe J.H. Richmond. I'm going to put all of these YouTube channels down in the description below. You can check those out. They scored The Foretelling as well. That's going to be exciting, but it's also going to take some time. Again, these are things that I just refuse to rush or cut corners on, because I think when it comes to soundtrack, Star Wars has got to be like top tier, you know what I'm saying? And the VFX has got to be impressive. And it takes time, it takes work to get to that point, because those things are so important to me and to the rest of the crew. And as for a release date, I genuinely do not want to be that guy who announces when a movie or a property comes out and then it ends up getting pushed back. I think Star Wars fans as a whole have gotten tired of that. My goal is to have a finished product when I announce the release date. If I had to guess, we will probably have a finished product within the next couple of months, and we'll actually have a premiere similar to the Foretelling. I think we are hoping to have a bigger venue compared to our previous film. There will be a premiere before it drops on YouTube, and I think the Foretelling, their premiere was on May 4th, and then we dropped it that night on May 5th. And so it could be a similar situation like that, where we have the premiere and then that night we release the film. When we announce the release date, that will be the definitive release date, because it will be a finished, finalized product. Bear with us as we make the best product that we can. Our goal through this whole thing was to have a story that pitted Starkiller against Cal Kestis. I think that's something fans have been wanting to see ever since the first Cal Kestis game came out, you know, because I think there's a lot of similarities between the characters and the video games themselves, and it's just a fun story, and intertwining other Legends characters like the Scarada clan was something that excited me as a writer, because even most Star Wars sweaties aren't familiar with the Scarada clan, and finding a way to integrate them with Starkiller, but also a canon-like environment as a whole, was just a really exciting experience for me as a writer and filmmaker, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy what we have in store for y'all. But that's all I've got for today. Be sure to come back next week for the next episode of Spectre of the Spider's Web, and let me know in the comments what aspect of Kestis you're excited for. Maybe you're a Republic Commando fan and you've read all the books and you're super excited to see Phelan Scarada and Barton Jessic in live action, and maybe you were that kid who grew up playing The Force Unleashed and you can't wait to see Starkiller return. Let me know in the comments what you're excited about, and we'll see you guys next time.